So, tips on ACL prevention. Like, obviously, I know ACL prevention exercises and things that can be done, but like, what can older men, not necessarily college athletes, do to help with that?
Stace, do you want to start or do you want me to?
Sure, yeah, I can start it. So ACL prevention kind of branches out into a whole bunch of different realms. So, the stretch factor, the workout factor, landing, jumping, plyometric factor is a huge thing because, especially in basketball, you're jumping up to do a shot and landing. So, proper jumping and landing techniques. So, you kind of have to break it down. So kind of what I do with my athletes is, you do, especially, it's kind of hard. Like, so do these people, or do these basketball guys, do they go to the gym? Do they do any workouts? Do they do any strength training at all?
Some of them will go and some of them will run on the treadmill before a game and then come play. Like, they'll run for 30 minutes and then come play, and they'll call that their warm up, which that's fine. And some of them literally walk onto the court, play their hour basketball game, and then that's it for the week. So it's kind of all over the place. Some of them played in college, played in high school, played in multiple leagues. Some of them, this is the only cardio that they do every week.
Yeah, because strength training is a huge, huge, huge part of it, is making sure you're doing, quad strengthening, hamstring strengthening, glute strengthening. You kind of, low back exercises, anywhere up from the feet all the way up is just calves, quads, groins, hip flexors, glutes. Strength training is huge because the more, your muscles are working properly, it's going to prevent things from happening. So if you're just kind of jumping on a treadmill and just running for 5 minutes and then going and playing basketball, it's not really, you kind of have to go to the gym, work out, that type of stuff, especially for the older population.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would say too, like maybe some things that can be done at home or something like that, just like standing on one foot, balancing on a pillow, just build up that proprioception a little bit can be beneficial. It's not going to fix everything, but it can be beneficial. So even like while you're brushing your teeth and things like that, and those things help with like any daily life stuff too. Lunges, squats, those types of things in your home are going to be a great way to do it. And then even jumps, like, watching yourself jump in a mirror and seeing if your knees cave in when you land and then trying to fix that can be beneficial to do.
Cool. Max, anything?
I guess I'm trying to think for like the guy, because like the guys that show up and won't stretch before, like if they feel good, they're just gonna say they feel fine. They're probably more likely to do some stretching after a game and they're like feeling sore. So what are some like post game things they can do to help strengthen their ACL or anything along those lines?
Yeah, so stretching and foam rolling are really great afterwards to help your muscles recover. So those are some great things they can do. Are you all, do you think they're familiar with foam rolling, or should we break that down a little bit?
I try to bring foam rollers into the gym
Okay.
when I can. Technically they're not supposed to be able to use them unless they're members, but obviously I'm not going to have somebody walk in and get injured and not be able to roll. Like if they have a calf cramp, things like that, like I bring a foam roller in. So some of them know it, some of them might not know it. So if you want to touch on it, you're more than welcome to.
Yeah, that's been a really good recovery tool where it's inexpensive. It's something most people can do, and just focusing on areas that you feel like really tight or kind of resistant to where it feels a little bit more uncomfortable while you're foam rolling. If you focus on those spots and get those muscles loosened back up, that's a really great thing to do. And then of course, like before basketball, you want to do more of an active warm up. So not just sitting and stretching. So you want to do kind of, and that's a good place to do some lunges to get moving a little bit, some butt kicks, some high knees, things like that, just to get the blood flowing a little bit, to warm up those muscles so that you're not just going and playing.
Nice.
Yeah, and there's a really good, what I implement with all my athletes is the FIFA 11. So you can Google it. I think it works really well. We've had good with, I work with women's soccer. So we've had a huge increase of ACL2, especially internationally. Because like I said, the school I work at, we're 90% international. So we have kids coming from everywhere. So I implemented the FIFA 11 because we were noticing a really high ACL risk with my female athletes. And like I said, you can Google it. It's a good warm up for a lot of athletes to do. It requires some jumping, stability stuff. So I noticed a big decrease of injuries with using that. Like I said, if you Google it, it comes right up, and it actually has a huge PDF file that you can print out and kind of run through it with some people if they want to kind of implement that. It takes maybe 10 minutes total to do, like the program to warm up. And then I design kind of like an active cool down too. So I'll take some of those dynamic warm up or exercises from the warm up and include it in a cool down too, as well as implement that foam roll. So.
I think another thing that I would add to that is core exercises. So, a lot of people think of core as just the abs and so everyone just does sit-ups and stuff like that, but it's a lot more than that. It's the entire trunk basically. And, even the glutes and the hip flexors and things like that. So, really doing stuff that strengthens the entire core. Planks are great, just kind of a total body things. Even push-ups are great because they do engage the entire body there. So just some core exercises to overall strengthen everything is beneficial too.
How many, if you're going to do preventative, ACL prevention, all that stuff at home, how often would you say do it? Every day, 3 days a week? What kind of schedule type?
It kind of depends. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Stace.
No, it's okay. I would try to do anywhere between 4 days, and Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It's because it's kind of hard. Like you said, these are active adults. They have lives, kids, stuff to do. You're not going to have an athlete where you have them 24/7. So we can do more things with them, but these are, active working adults. So even if you cut it down to 3 days for 20, 30 minutes a day, that's, I think that would work.
Yeah, and it's stuff you can incorporate into your normal workout too, which is great. So, there's a lot you can do in it, and it does become a workout. So if you're active in that way, that helps.
And I guess working down the leg, talking about Achilles tendons and people, complaining that they're tight all of the time. And I don't know if it's necessarily true, but a lot of times they say it's connected to your plantar fasciitis. If that's tight, you might feel tightness in your Achilles. That's what all of these guys assume. I've had them roll their bottom of their foot out on tennis balls and baseballs and things like that, and they say that they can feel the crackling. But how do you keep your Achilles from getting tight? If it's the one cardio that you do a week, obviously you're going to have tightness because your body's never going to get used to that actual, hour of running and quick stopping and starting. So what are some things that you can do for the Achilles?
The Achilles is Jean will, be with me on this. The Achilles is a tough one because sometimes if it's going to go, it's going to go. And if it's tight, sometimes it's hard. Especially, you don't have an athletic trainer there to do an Achilles tape job or something that'll help support it, or a plantar fasciitis tape job. It's kind of all about, I guess, their footwear too. I know basketball shoes aren't so stable sometimes, especially if they're working out in a random shoe. You can kind of direct them maybe. I know money is an issue right now, but maybe, proper footwear, talking about that. Don't just go to Kohl's and buy a $30 pair of sneakers. It's not probably fitting what their foot is used to, and foot mechanics play a huge role in the plantar fascia. And then kind of you can go to a Walmart or one of the stores and you can step on that Dr. Scholl's thing, and it'll show you,
where you put your weight.
Yeah, for a cheap version. And if you have if you're inverting your foot or everting your foot, it'll kind of give you a good little thing to wear to put in your shoe as like an insert that'll help. And then at the end of, playing, you can freeze like a plastic water bottle and then just have them roll out on that if it gets really sore at the end of the day. Pull it out of the freezer, roll on it for 5-10 minutes on each side, and then you can put it back in.
Yeah, and all the stuff that you're telling them to do, the rolling on the bottom of their foot, with the lacrosse ball or baseball or whatever, foam rolling the Achilles, foam rolling the entire ankle complex is great. And then, yeah, like Stacy said, shoe wear is hugely important. So even going to a running store and having them watch you walk and run so that they can give you a shoe that's really beneficial for your foot is a great way to do it. And yeah, those are going to be a little bit more expensive, and a lot of times they're worth it too, just for the injury prevention standpoint, because you may pay a little bit more for a shoe, but then you're not paying for physical therapy or whatever, a doctor's visit, things like that. So just try to prevent those things as best you can. And then again, like little things like balancing on your foot, working those small intrinsic muscles within your foot can be really helpful too.
Yeah, we've got the same circular purple donut thing that we used to have in the training room.
That's awesome.
And I've gotten a few of the guys to do that. Some guys that come in and say that they have really tight Achilles and things like that, but a lot of them just try to mask it with ankle braces. What would you say about that?
Yeah, ankle braces won't do a ton for the Achilles. They're more to prevent that inward motion when you roll your ankles. So they're not going to do a ton for the Achilles. It might like provide a little bit of compression, which can make you feel like it feels good, but it's not going to provide any protection against an Achilles tear or anything like that. And might also make you feel like you can go a little harder and push yourself a little bit more than you normally would. So you just have to be careful with that. And part of the problem is that we go into all these like dress shoes, or women wear flats or heels or whatever, and those types of shoes aren't very good for most biomechanics of your feet. So we have to think about the entire day as we're going through from work and then going to play basketball, or if it's on a Saturday morning or whatever, you've been in those shoes all week, so your foot's really beat up after that point. So really taking care of yourself is going to be key.
Yeah. At what age, we do youth and adult, so like at what age would you say to start implementing all of these preventative exercises such as ACL, Achilles, all that stuff?
As soon as you start playing.
Yeah. As young as you can.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, we start at age 4, 4, so okay.
Yeah. I mean, so some of it, like, my daughters run bow-legged, their knees, or they run like knock-kneed a little bit when they are younger, but then they kind of straighten out. So some of it, like biomechanically, your anatomy changes a little bit when you're younger. But it's really not too soon to implement some of the stuff, especially little body weight exercises. We're not saying go have an 8-year-old doing heavy lifting, but starting to pay attention to mechanics and stuff is important. And especially as you think about specialization in sports and stuff like that, you really want to cross train as much as possible when you're younger to prevent injuries.
Max, do you have a question?
I mean, the only other questions I would have would be not as much injury related, more so like what is like your favorite exercise? And when I say that, I mean like something that like not like an average exercise like a squat or something, like something that incorporates kind of multiple things at once, like hand-eye coordination, stability, balance. Yeah, like what are your favorite like exercises that are great for like athletes for any sport?
My favorites are Bosu push-ups. I really like. So push-ups on one of those half ball things, those are one of my favorites because I feel like it gets everything. Yeah. And even squats on those I really like too. What else? I also like, you'll probably know this, when you squat on the Bosu and then also pass the ball back and forth, I love that one too.
Yeah,
it's like a total body.
Yeah, for sure. And your mind too.
Yeah.
I like this. I mean, you guys don't have access, but a slide board. I use that all the time with my athletes. Have them slide back and forth while you're throwing. slide back and land, jumping and landing on the slide, doing like Nordic hamstrings on the slide. I use the slide board every day, and I love it. Like push-ups on the slide, you know, I incorporate a lot on there. It's good because you can do different fun things, and you're, you know, like I said, you're adding that proprioception, balance, coordination, everything all in, trying to stay, you know, balanced on the slide board as you're doing different things. So
And all those you can really make sports specific, which is really fun too. You put it like you kick a soccer ball, you throw a basketball, you know, whatever it is.
Right. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
I mean, I have two more questions. One is, I mean, I was very known for them concussions, you know. Obviously, I'm not an AT and I can't diagnose these guys with concussions and things like that. And I do take, you know, the proper protocol. If they hit their head, you know, they have to sit, you know, tell me if they're nauseous, dizzy, so that I can get help, whatever. Would you, I mean, a lot of times they're not going to go to a doctor. They're not going to tell me if they really have a headache or they're nauseous or anything like that. But as far as, you know, safety and concern for it, what would you suggest would be like the best protocol for me? I mean, obviously I'm the director, so these guys, when they come to play in my leagues, it's kind of in my hands if I let somebody back on the court who probably shouldn't be, but told me that they're perfectly fine. I mean,
Yeah, that's a tough one. I think
basically how do you train an old dog?
well, I think education is really important, just to think about, to talk about what the signs are and symptoms, of course, as you're going through this, but then also what can be the long-term damages and repercussions from it. Because sometimes just the education on that, like a lot of people don't necessarily know that it could cause long-term damage, or could, if you continue playing on it, that you could get a more serious second injury that could end you up in the hospital. So I think a lot of it is education on that, and then just trusting your gut. If someone just doesn't look right or feel right, then, I mean, be extra cautious with it. You know, if there's a doubt in your mind about it, then don't let them play. But they're adults too, and they have to,
Right.
I mean, to some level it has to be, you know, they have to be honest with you as well. So
Yeah. And then my only other question I have is, what would you say are the best measures for recovery? It's not necessarily post-game stretching, things like that, but how to really get your body to fully recover after playing, you know, a pretty strenuous game of basketball, considering most of these guys will play a full game with no subs, things like that.
chocolate milk.
yes, chocolate milk
I
for
still do
sure.
it all the time after soccer.
Yeah. That's honestly what I did a lot of research on, is chocolate milk, and I actually implemented a bunch of chocolate milk programs with all my athletes at my school, where we get chocolate milk donated for after they do lifting. That way they're properly doing that. And then just the importance of hydration, and then just, you know, proper eating and nutrition too on top of that. Like, if you go work out and then you go to McDonald's and eat a cheeseburger, it's really not going to do anything good for you. If you go home and then make, you know, chicken, you know, grilled chicken, rice, vegetables, you know, have a colorful plate with some fruits, and then, you know, hydrate with that chocolate milk, you know, that, I think that's a really important aspect of recovery, is just taking care of your body, sleeping properly, getting, you know, 7-8 hours of sleep, not, you know, staying up all night drinking alcohol type of thing. So
Yeah, alcohol will definitely make the recovery worse. Getting a good night's sleep is for sure. I mean, that's a huge thing. And you said a lot of them have families and children, so that's really, really difficult to do. And yeah, I'll echo chocolate milk. I think it's such a great recovery. It's got a great mix of protein and carbs and like just the right amount of stuff that you need to recover. So just straight up chocolate milk.
What about just like precautionary icing and stuff? You know, like we used to come in, even if I wasn't necessarily injured, but knew I was diving on my shoulders the entire practice or my hips, I would just come in and put ice on it. that anything that they should think about doing?
Yeah, what do you think about that, Stace?
I mean, I've been kind of steering away from ice as recovery tools because actually, my boss who I work with at my current job, she's a doctor of athletic training. She did her PhD in actually recovery. So done a lot of research on ice mechanics after play and everything. And we've kind of done, I've done some trial runs with some athletes of like not icing after certain things and icing here or adding heat and doing contrast. So I'm a big contrast, hot, cold, hot, cold. And then also implementing, and a lot of people don't have access to it, but if they do, if I don't know if at your center, if they have like a jacuzzi or a hot tub sauna, there is a lot of good research out there about just getting in that and just kind of the heat aspect of it. I'm still actually doing a lot of research on that because I find it interesting because we're known to like, oh, just throw ice on it, just ice will cure it. But there's also a lot of research saying don't ice it. So it's kind of a hit and miss. I mean, like I said, I've been doing some kind of trial runs with some of my athletes of not icing, and I've gotten some good results on that. But I've also had athletes that ice, and it is a good result. So it's kind of a hit and miss. If that's what they like to do and ice, then by all means. Some people just love it. Some people swear on it. They want to come home and throw ice bags on their knees. If that works for them, it works for them. So it's kind of whatever helps you out. But and I said a lot of the normal adults don't have access to things like athletes do, like cold tubs, hot tubs, different, Game Readies, Normatec boots, all these other, cool gadgets that athletes do. So it's kind of hard to really implement a good, recovery system in the adult world. But like I said, if it works for them, it works. So.
Yeah, we've gone away from ice as well. Our head athletic trainer came in and he's done a ton of research on it, and they don't really use it much anymore. And you talk about teaching old dog new tricks, like it was a battle, and I heard a lot about it for a little while. But it seems like once you can kind of explain why it's not the greatest thing for certain injuries or recovery or things like that, then it definitely makes a big difference. But that being said, I still use ice occasionally for things. So it really, like Stacy said, it really is about how your body reacts to it and how, what you feel like. Because even if it's a placebo effect of using ice, that still works. So you got to try to figure out what works for you. But yeah, the active recovery is great. I hadn't heard the research on I'm really interested to hear more about what you're doing, Stacy, about the warm stuff. So that's super interesting. But yeah, it's not always just slap ice on it anymore.
Yeah, like you said, there's a lot of good research about like hot tubs and getting athletes in hot tubs for 5 minutes after they're done working out, because it helps kind of get the blood flowing even more. So like I said, I don't know too much about it yet too, but it's been kind of something that my boss has been implementing a lot with, like getting rid of ice and working more with heat. So yeah, I don't know. It's crazy because I was when I was on the road for nationals with women's soccer, I kind of implemented that. So after we played a game, I would have them all get in the hot tub rather than cold. And for some odd way, it worked. I don't know how. They felt better. So, I don't know. Yeah. No idea why it works, but they felt better getting in the hot tub than they did getting in the ice bath. So
funny. I think in my 4 years, I only did contrast maybe 2 or 3 times. Every other time it was shoulders deep in the ice bath.
Yeah.
Yeah. And did you feel better after that?
I mean, better in what sense? Like,
right. Well, that's true.
I don't know what there is to compare it to. Obviously in high school, I didn't have, the same, what she's saying, I didn't have the option to hop in an ice bath after practice, but I also didn't have injuries in high school or feel sore or anything like that. So it's almost like, what do I compare it to?
Yeah. I think a lot
as
of
far as injuries went, I didn't have many, but.
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of what our head athletic trainers implemented is more of like that foam rolling and stuff like that to promote recovery. And then of course, proper nutrition and hydration, as Stacy mentioned before too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Max, do you have anything else?
Not really any more questions. I was just gonna say, it's just commenting on the debate of ice. It's just pretty crazy how much research has been done and how many studies have been done that there's still conflicting evidence, which I think just goes to say how, everyone's body really is different, and you kind of got to know what's best for you. And maybe, placebo, I think does play a huge factor. And maybe sometimes even it sounds like just changing the pace of your regular routine of icing after a game, maybe sometimes getting the hot tub might be beneficial just from, doing something different.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, I don't have any other questions, but this was awesome. I'm glad we did it.
Yeah, thanks for having us. This was fun.